never posted that photo or anything. It's
You've never posted it?
Never posted the photo. But I had made 2 prints. I printed one out for myself. It's hanging in my living room. And I printed out one for Tim as a kind of a thank you at the end of tour. It was cool. So like when I handed it to him, he was stoked. He was like, oh my gosh. And he like ran like a kid that got a new Christmas present. He ran straight to the band room. I was like, guys, look at this photo from, a couple of nights ago that Tyler got. Like, oh my gosh. And so I was like, that was a cool moment just to have that kind of interaction.
Tyler Conrad, thank you for being on What's Mine Is Yours.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to have you. And you are the first guest I'm having that does tour content, which is really cool. Because is that what you would say is your main focus in Nashville, is tour videographer, photographer?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what takes up most of my time.
I was like, because you do other stuff too, but I know that's kind of more of your, like what you're known for is tour content.
Yeah, that's what I moved here to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, so like what got you into tour content? Like what were you the kid that always had a camera in your hand or did just like, because you love music so much, is that what led you into this?
Yeah, both valid questions. I really didn't get into video until a little later in life. Really any kind of just images in general. I got into it, I think like junior, senior year of high school, a little bit, and then a little bit more in college. And kind of a workaround, got into dance as well, started filming a lot of dance videos with friends of mine and whatnot that I danced with. And so kind of dove into video more, which also made me dive into music a little bit more and really appreciate it. And so did it in college and then got a job while I was in college. And one of the people I worked for was a country music radio station in Indianapolis. And so through that, met a lot of people in the country space and, fell in love with the people, more in love with the music, and eventually met one of my really good friends, Devin Dawson, who a year or so after I started that job invited me down to Nashville to come out and tour. So
we're both from the same area. He's from Sacramento.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. So
he's Orangevale.
Yeah. Yes. I live right down the street from Orangevale, or I used to, I guess. And so when he popped off, I was like, oh, how cool.
Yeah.
Like a ton of my friends knew him and whatnot. So that's really cool.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So country music, was that something that you always wanted to shoot, or is that just because it just led itself to you?
Oh, I would love to say yes to that, but no. I think, like I said, getting the job in for a country music station, that really exposed me more to it.
Sure.
I just wasn't exposed to it as much as a kid. Like I grew up with just top 40 pop, and then when I started dancing, like hip hop, R&B, and stuff like that, and so I just didn't really have the background with that kind of music. But once you kind of got exposed to it and you start, especially come from like a hip hop kind of background, you get your Florida Georgia Lines, your Sam Hunts and stuff like that to kind of like make you, okay, I'll give more people a shot. Right. And then like Devin comes along and now you're like, wow, these stories are so true. These songwriters are like writing some of the best music across any genre. And like, you really start to hone in on it more and more. So yeah, I ended up liking it a lot, but no, I wouldn't say I grew up loving it by any stretch.
Well, I will say, like, also like being raised in California, we didn't have a lot of, I guess I really blended a lot with the whole like the Sam Hunt, the Florida Georgia Lines of it all. And I would imagine for tour content, I mean, I'm going to ask you later about like what you like to shoot a lot, but I would imagine artists like that give a different type of energy that you can feed off of.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, they absolutely do. And again, for me, coming from more of a dance background, anything with kind of a beat that lets you kind of get a little more creative in an edit or anything like that, just, that helps the cause. Like even
it does.
More so, and like I said, and a lot of those guys are people that kind of turned me on to country music too, which kind of adds another layer to it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What would you say would be your first, obviously you probably got your start with, you've built up slowly throughout time because now you've worked with a ton of big names, but what would you say is your first like big artist where you were like, oh wow, I'm doing this. This is cool.
I love that question. So one of my first tours, I think it was one of my first tours, it was like early 2019. I was still with Devin and he was opening for Dan and Shay and they had a UK run. They did like 2 weeks out in I think Scotland and England. And we did, I don't know, 7-8 shows. And the last show was in London. and they didn't have anybody out shooting. So I'd been filming for Devin the whole time. And on the very last show, their tour manager, his name's Mike, he came up to me. He's like, hey, we've seen your stuff all tour. Would you mind kind of filming and shooting for the boys tonight? Like, they'd really appreciate it. And, and I was like, that'd be great. Let me ask Devin, because I'm not here to, and Devin was like, I've never seen you smile so big.
He would have been really rude if he said no.
I know, yeah. And luckily they're really tight. Like he and Dan and Shay, like they're homies. And he was like, I would have felt so bad if I told you no to that.
Can you imagine?
But yeah, so they asked me, and I got to go out and kind of film their final show in London. I think it was Shepherd's Bush, and that was kind of the first big, like, whoa, I'm in London filming for Dan and Shay, sold out headliner. Like that was that was a big moment of like, wow, I think
I could do this.
I think I could run with this for a while. Like, this is fun.
I know I saw you on a different podcast talking about a time you shot with Dan and Shay, and how was it Shay that took the camera?
Yeah.
And I really will say, I just said before you walked in and I was talking, I was like, did you have a moment of like, like he could drop that though? Like break that? Like that's a lot. Those are
honestly, no.
Your gear is expensive.
It's true. I mean, yeah, no, I don't think so. He's a good enough dude that if he did it, I think he would.
He'd replace it.
Yeah, like he'd get it. So
yeah,
I wasn't really worried. I was more excited that I was like, oh, this is, that's a shot I just can't get, right?
Sure.
And so I was like, dude, have at it, go nuts. Yeah.
Is he the only artist that's ever done that?
No, Thomas Rhett also did it.
Okay.
And I only was with Thomas. I did like one weekend, and I don't even think it was during his set. I think it was during whoever was opening for him, and I can't remember who it was. Thomas like popped out to just like say hi. I don't know what he did on stage, and I was just kind of chilling side stage because I didn't know it was going to happen. Luckily, I had my camera on me, and he saw it, and he just came up and grabbed it. And he didn't necessarily do like a selfie, but he kind of did like a pan over the crowd and everything.
Yeah.
He just kind of got the crowd energized. But I think that's the only other one that comes to mind. But yeah.
So this is jumping a little bit off topic, but I am curious about it, because when you go on tour with like a specific artist to shoot that artist, what are your guidelines and regulations about shooting like the main act or the opener? Or are you allowed to do that? Or is that because they already have somebody doing it?
Yeah, I think it depends. If you're, it's definitely case by case. Mm-hmm. I think if you're out like shooting for an opener, a lot of the time you're probably not going to be able to shoot for the headliner as well, unless maybe down the line after you've done a few shows and get to know their team, their management, or whoever, you kind of build a rapport. If you can, say, hey, I would just love to shoot and give you guys whatever I get and help out any way I can, like they're probably more open to that. But I would say, at least off the rip, it's not.
Yeah, well, it's probably not good taste.
Yeah, but then if you're shooting for a headliner, there's a lot of times, like last year on Tim's tour, we had Carly Pierce as our direct support for the whole tour, and myself and one of my best friends, Ben Darty, we would pop out to Carly's set and try to shoot some songs here and there to just help her get as much content as she could use, and help her out in any way we could. So.
Well, I was about to say there is a difference in between of like and I don't even know if I'm using the right word, like classes of artists. Like someone like Tim McGraw, who you shoot with all the time, isn't really relying on content on his social media because he's Tim McGraw. He's already established. It's one of those things. Now, mind you, like Carly Pierce is already established, but she's far more in the class where we do care about content and really reaching out to fans that way, because that's her age demographic. Those are the people that need to be like way more involved with their social media. So I imagine that there is a difference with shooting certain artists when it comes to, okay, are they more content driven artists, or is this someone that kind of just wants the typical shots that we just need for whatever purposes, whether it's flyer photos or whatever the case is? I mean, can you talk about that, where like the difference between an artist who needs to be way more laser focused with social media versus someone like Tim McGraw? Absolutely.
That's a great question. Yeah, there's a big difference. I think this isn't directly related to content, but I approach shooting for different artists differently. Like when I first started shooting for Tim, I was really, I don't want to say hesitant, but I was really focused on keeping the stage as sacred as I could, is how I would say it, because, you know, a lot of artists coming up now, like, you know, they have photographers, videographers just all over the stage, you know, right behind them, right next to them, getting the new song, getting the fan interaction, you know what I mean? And so they're very used to it, very comfortable with it. You know, when he was on the rise, like, he didn't have that as much.
No.
And so I didn't want to be disrespectful in, you know, coming into his world and doing something like that where, you know, he may just not be as used to it. Now, you know, 2-3 years later, you know, we have enough trust that he's like, dude, it's like, if you think the shot's worth it, like, I trust you to get whatever shot you need to get. Yeah, I'd say that's a big difference in kind of entering it. And then, you know, on the flip side, I say a lot of the time too, which is probably a weird thing to say. End of the day, like I said, if Tim didn't want to have me out, he wouldn't necessarily need to.
Sure.
You know, end of the day, he could do fine without, you know, the social presence and things like that. He could still play shows. Just because of the legacy and the amazing career that he's already built, you know, the fact he does have myself out, or, you know, folks just helping to continue to push, is just, you know, a testament to his still wanting to get after it and grind and, you know, be better and, you know, just continue to kind of see how far, I guess, he could take it in a way.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I think there's definitely a big difference though in I'd say the generations of artists, for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, that's always been a struggle I see for artists today, is just the idea of the amount of content that has to be created to put out all of the time. So someone like you is crucial, because that's going to be a lot of what you see on their feed is stuff that they don't, I mean, not everybody wants to sit in front of it, you know, their own camera and film TikTok videos all day. So I get it.
Yeah.
Can you kind of run me through a typical tour day, you know, from like bus call to lights out?
Yeah. Yeah. That probably depends on the artist, but we'll say, like, on the tour last year with Tim, a lot of the time it would be our day wouldn't really start until probably noon.
Okay.
I would say noon. You're checking your phone from the morning up until noon to make sure nothing from the night before needs, you know, fixed or whatever, right? But in terms of, you know, ready to rock and roll, probably about noon. We go out. They would usually do some kind of a sound check, whether it was with Tim or just the band. So we'd kind of go out and get a feel for the venue, make sure, you know, we know how chairs are set up, where our lanes are going to be tonight, everything like that. We'd go back, grab a quick bite to eat, and then Tim would have a group workout usually in the afternoons. And so he would work out himself in the morning, and then for his last workout of the day, he always, on I think most of the tours he's done in the past however many years, he loves to bring in obviously his band, the openers, the crew, whoever is available in that afternoon, come on over to his trailer, which he has his portable gym that he travels with. Come on over and do a group like CrossFit workout essentially. And it's not, and I was actually thinking about this on the right here, and it's not even, you know, you think, oh, show up and you're just kind of working alongside him. Like, no, he's leading the workout.
Really?
Like,
he's the trainer.
Oh yeah, he's showing up and he's got, you know, 5 or 6 stations laid out. He's like, okay, here's a barbell. You're doing, you know, presses here, and then you're doing an ab station here, and then you're doing, you know, ropes here, whatever it is, right? And so we'll do, I don't know, 6 or 7 stations and like 3 or 4 rounds, and everybody will, you know, he jokes. He's like, I set it up for 3 or 4, but, you know, usually end up with about half the people left after like 2, because everybody just kind of like fades away slowly. Yeah. And so anyway, we do that in the afternoon, usually like 2 to 3-ish. And then we split. He kind of goes to get ready. We go to get set up for the show. And then usually about 5 o'clock or so, he's rolling in, and we'll usually try to get some sort of either backstage content, because he likes to jam with his acoustic player Bobby. They'll just jam on old country songs, whether it's an old Waylon or, you know, old Merle Haggard, whatever it is, whatever he's feeling that night, to just kind of get the voice going and get warmed up a bit. And so we'll film some of that. If we have anything specific like that the venue may need, you know, from him or something like that, we usually knock that out around then he'll go and do a meet and greet, and then go usually from there. He likes to watch the openers, so we'd kind of hang out like backstage, and this one was under the stage. Would hang out backstage, and he'd watch either on the monitor or try to peek his head out, around the corner, side stage, and just to, kind of take it in. And he likes, that's one of his favorite parts of the night, is getting to watch the openers, especially as the first of 3 openers kind of cycle through. Mm-hmm. He loves getting the opportunity to, he says he's like, I always learned something from somebody. And so he makes a big point to do that. And then, come like, I don't know, probably 8 o'clock or so. And I think, or 8:30, whatever. When Carly was done, we'd go back and, we'd do, he'd kind of go in the band room and, chat through a couple things for the show, and just kind of, just shoot the shit with the guys for a bit, just to kind of get psyched up. And, they'll do a pre-show, all hands in kind of thing. And, then we're walking the stage and we're going, plays for 90 minutes or so. And, once he's off stage, within that, we have about an hour post show where myself and Ben last year would try to get our top like 20 photos probably from the night, get them out to management so we could get approvals done that night and have them ready to go either for socials or press or whoever for the next morning. So we try to turn those around as quickly as we could. And then after that, usually kind of go through and pull selects for video and different things like that. Mm-hmm. So that'd probably take us to about, photos are out by midnight, and then we're probably wrapping up like 1 or 2 a.m.
I was about to say, like, how late you think you're up to? About 1 or 2?
Yeah. I'd say a minimum for sure.
When you're like in the middle of shooting a show, because your turnaround time is very quick, obviously with things like that, no matter who you're shooting. I mean, that everyone wants to like say they thank the city they're in and they put it up on their socials and whatnot. Do you kind of, in real time as you're shooting, whether it's video or photos, kind of editing in your own head, like, I know I'm going to like this part, like I want to flag this in my brain?
Absolutely. So there's a classic, I think it's classic at this point, move that either a photographer or videographer does during a show is like, if you get a shot of, let's say your artist there's a really cute little kid front and center, and they shake their hand or they, sign their sign, whatever it is, right? And you're like, oh, what a moment that was, right? The next clip, I'll like film my hand. And so you put your hand in front of the lens or something, or take a picture of it. So when you're scrolling through.
It's a bookmark.
Exactly. You're scrolling through, you see your hand, the clip before it was a clip that's going to be worthy of, hey, that one's a keeper.
That's pretty good.
So
I didn't know
that's like a quicker way. Obviously, you can go in and like, star it or flag it or whatever.
Sure.
But to just, oh, that was great. Click, film, boom, done. Like, you don't have to think about it as much. That's usually a pretty foolproof way to just keep it moving.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
What would you say is probably the most unexpected moment you've been able to capture?
Wow, that's a good question. Unexpected moment that I've been able to capture. I would say, there's a lot. I'd say one, I don't know why it came to mind first, but it was last year at CMA Fest, backstage at Nissan Stadium. It was before Tim was the last night at Nissan Stadium last year. And obviously there's, at CMA Fest, artists just kind of are always there hanging out.
Yeah, right.
And so he was backstage, and Randy Travis showed up. And to just see Tim and Randy just kind of, talk about old times. And also Tim be a fan, like of him, and just, kind of gush over it. And just to kind of be in that room and see that, interaction was really cool. And then at the end, to just, take some photos with both of them just side by side, I thought was just a really, really sweet moment, and just a really human moment. Yeah. Which was just like, that not a lot of folks get to see.
No, absolutely not.
And so, just to see, I don't know, that was probably up there for really sweet moments for sure.
And talking about moments, because that is so important, especially when you're on a tour, to capture like certain moments. is there a way, do you have a technique of how you go about knowing, okay, I know this song's coming up because I'm sure you know the set list.
Mm-hmm.
So of where more so moments pop up. Do you have a technique for that of how you capture moments throughout tour?
Yeah, I'd say in a weird way, I almost go about it the opposite way of when are there moments where I don't have to be right there and right next to it? Like when are the moments where, okay, like I can go up top, I can get the wide shots, I can get I can look for fans because, on stage, I know for the most part, they're going to be doing the same thing or they're just going to be on mic, which, can be great performance wise, video wise or stills wise. Like I have plenty of opportunities throughout the show to get shots like that. And so I kind of look for the moments where I can kind of get away with, going up top or not having to be there and thinking, oh man, if I'm far from stage and they do have a moment, I'm going to miss it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so I kind of think about it in more of I kind of flip it on its head, I guess, in a way. But then, you have conversations with the artist too, of whether it's the artist or the tour manager or the lighting director, whoever it is, of, hey, during this song, like I never know what's going to happen. So make sure you're close by, you know what I mean? And so, you have those conversations or, there's some nights they, a lot of artists will, they'll either check in their socials of like, hey, I know, this fan, they're going to be front, like, stage right or something. Like I'm going to try to look for them on this song because they sent me this really sweet message or they have this sign or whatever, so you kind of talk about that a little bit ahead of time. But yeah, I'd say again, I'm more so just trying to make sure I don't miss, right? As much
because that would be, I will say it must be.
Which happens all the time,
but
unfortunately.
Sometimes feel like you get a redo like the next night if there's something that typically, because not every artist does this, but I do most have a similar way of doing something every show in a way.
Sure.
So like if you've missed that, you're like, I'm like, well, maybe I'll get round 2, like a second chance to capture that in a similar way. Yeah,
yes and no. I mean, depends on the kind of moment, right? I mean, if there's I always bring up like the kid front stage, but like
that's one off.
Like like if there's a moment like that, like that's your moment. That's it.
You missed it.
You miss it. Exactly. Luckily, everybody else in the arena has a phone on them, and so it's not like the video's not going to exist, but it's just
not from you.
Exactly. It's not on my camera, and so that's tough. But yeah, and I'd say that's kind of one of the more stressful parts of the job is just hoping that you're not hoping, but trying to plan as best you can that you're there.
I wasn't planning on asking you this, but because we're talking about that, what is a missed moment that you like kick yourself about?
Oh man, unfortunately, there's a lot. But I mean, man, there was a kid that Tim like brought on stage last tour, and I got something, like I got a photo, like it wasn't like I just whiffed, but it was on, I can't even remember what song it was, but it was a song that he doesn't normally either walk that side or go where he went, and he did, and he just like, he like just pulled the kid on stage and just like one hand, because it's probably 6 years old or something, just pulled him right up there, and I was backstage because it's usually time I can like swap a camera or swap a lens or whatever I was trying to do, and I just heard the crowd just go nuts, and I like looked up at the monitor, and he's just pulling the kid on the front of the thrust, and they sang a verse or something of whatever song it was, but I just remember I was like, oh my gosh, and I just put the whatever camera I had on me, put it back on, and ran back out there, and like I said, I still got a shot, but to not be right there up front, I was just like, dang, dude.
Tim comes to you after the show. He's like, so let me see all that footage from that. You're like, weird. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. He's like, oh man, I was a tough angle, security. I don't know. But then there's also a lot of moments too, where even if you are there for the shot, especially someone like me who shoots photo and video, you get to the end of the night and they're like, oh, did you get a shot of that? And it's like, or did you get a photo of that? And it's like, no, but I have the whole thing on video. They're like, oh, okay. It's like, well, it's a coin flip. Sometimes you kind of go with your gut, and sometimes that's
for sure
not, that wasn't their gut. But yeah,
so you just shot Miranda, and she's on tour with Morgan right now. How is that going? And that's so cool to be a part of that.
Yeah, I mean that's That's the tour. It
Yeah,
has
it
been the
is.
tour for the last few years now in country. Yeah, that was amazing. That's some of the most energy I've felt in an arena, or I'm sorry, in a stadium ever. And it's a huge stage. And I grossly underestimated how big of a stage that is. Luckily they've set up really well to where it's not really that bad to get around, even given how big of a stage it is. But yeah, it's interesting, and it's also interesting to shoot like Miranda, who's obviously, you know, a legend and
Huge, right?
yeah, and has been a headliner for the last 15 years, whatever. It was kind of different to shoot her in not a headlining spot.
I've always thought when I heard the announcement of this tour, I was like, huh? Like, that's, wow, okay.
Yeah. But it fit great. Like, you know, she's one of those acts that, worst case, you know, 90% of the audience is at least going to know a good handful of songs,
For sure.
obviously. And so, you know, it's still like, she's great to play before then, and they're also really good friends. So that helps too. And, you know, she popped out on stage, you know, with him during his set. And so that helps out a lot too. But yeah, that was just different to shoot her in that environment. And yeah, I got some of my favorite shots of her that I've gotten probably in a long time. One specifically, at the very end of the set, of her first set, they did 2 nights, and she went to the end of the thrust and was like, "Hey, thanks so much, Wisconsin. You know, you guys have been great." And there's like a side staircase you can kind of sneak up to, you know, be able to go halfway down the thrust and just walk up. And I kind of snuck up that staircase to kind of get a wide shot from behind her of like all of the, you know, the whole stadium. And she turned around and started to walk back, and I could see her kind of clock me like in the peripherals of her vision. And I could kind of feel her give me a look of like, all right, I'll give you one more. And she kind of did one more turnaround, did like a wave of like, thanks so much. And that ended up being the shot, you know, of her just like turn around. She posted it too. And it was just really funny of like, you know, she was going to walk back and then just
Good nonverbal
like
communication.
100%. And just it was like, okay, like, you know, I was going to do one more, but since you're there, I'll definitely, you know, I'll definitely make sure it's worth the while. So
speaking about that tour, because I know he's notorious for doing this. Have you ever shot someone that does walkouts?
No,
because that's
not to that
degree.
level, no.
Do you think that will happen more because of him, or do you think people will let it be that that's just a him thing?
I think that's risky because that's his thing right now.
Yeah,
I mean, that's his thing. And if you do it, I mean, that's pretty much all people are going to say is like, oh, you're trying to be
like Morgan Wallen, which I guess.
To an extent, right? Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, he's just done such a good job of it. And his team, David Lairs, and Matt Pasker both shoot for him. They've been longtime buddies of mine, and they do such a great job at capturing that and, you know, turning it around incredibly fast. That, yeah, I wouldn't advise another artist to try it.
No, I think
without putting some sort of really big twist on it themselves, you know?
For sure.
Because also, I mean, I don't know if there's anybody else that's going to get guests as big as Morgan's.
Right.
I mean, he had Drake 2 weeks ago.
That's a good point.
You know, like you're fighting an uphill battle there. That's tough.
Another big thing that happens a lot on tour, and I'm sure you've seen, is pranks. Mm-hmm. Which obviously ended up, I don't know when that became a thing. It's been years now. No. But what would you say is a prank you've been present for that you thought was the best?
Yeah, I'd say it was probably my first tour. When I moved to town, like I said, I moved to town to tour with Devin. He was opening for Brett Eldridge.
Okay.
And it was the Long Way tour. I think it was 2018. And Brett's a classier, like, he's got the Sinatra to him, right?
Well, yeah, he is like the country music Michael Bublé.
There you go. That's a great. I love that. That's spot on. And so he's got that like classiness to him. And this the set he had like a speakeasy kind of bar at the top and had that kind of a vibe to it. And so Devin and his whole band, I think it was the last night or the last weekend or something. After their set, they all kind of dressed up in like speakeasy, like prohibition looking attire, right?
Yeah.
And all walked out, and they at the top of the show, Brett started, I think, that in like a phone booth, and he'd walk out of the phone booth like down the stairs, and they all kind of got around the phone booth and poured him a drink and lit him a cigar, and they were all kind of lighting cigars at the top. And it just was such a tasteful, like really cool prank that also Brett just really appreciated too. And so that was a cool thing to be a part of, and just like it was just kind of a nice nod to each other. But then on the flip side, I think Brett's team did this. I don't know if Brett did it himself though. They were in, was it Brett? Anyway, Devin was in Jacksonville, and it was one of the last shows, and they came out and did a pillow fight on stage. They just brought a bunch of pillows and swarmed the stage. Yeah. But it was great. Like Devin turned around. He was like, someone tossed him a pillow. He's like, oh, I'm teeing up. Like, like it was very two ends of the spectrum. Right. But both, had a lot of fun to just kind of see everybody, take down their guard a bit and just kind of lean into it. So that was fun too. But yeah, like I said, also that was just the first prank that I experienced was the speakeasy kind of one. So I think that one sticks out a lot for sure.
What would you say something from an artist you've shot that fans of theirs would be surprised by them backstage?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think through. I'll say this: the first time, so I only did like a weekend or two with Thomas Rhett, and it was the first weekend I was out there. And he, again, a lot of country artists, they love like the headliners. They love watching the opening acts. They love being out there, being support. Like they're leading the charge. Like they're setting the tone. And so, I was there, and I knew where I needed to be at what time. And so in between there, like I was just out watching the openers. Well, I think it was Connor Smith was opening at that time. And I'm just side stage watching, and I hear just kind of behind me out of the corner, somebody just like chomping down on something like a soup or whatever. And I turn around, and it's Thomas, just has a bowl of soup from catering, just sitting on a a bin or whatever, and watching Connor go. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, man. like I'm sorry for, if I'm interrupting or anything. I was like, dude, you're fine. I was like, by the way, I'm Tyler. I'm shooting for you tonight.
Actually your...
Yeah, like I'm shooting you tonight. But yeah, and so it was just, I don't think people would be surprised by that necessarily, but it was more just like, that feels exactly how Thomas Rhett would interact with someone backstage. He's like, I'm just hanging, munching on some dinner, watching some country music, and just around. Like
for sure.
Yeah. Just genuine, really sweet guy. And yeah.
Well, he definitely, like, I've never met Thomas, but I would say that that's exactly how I would picture him as somebody.
Yes.
So he is how you picture him.
100%. Doesn't take himself too seriously. Just, he's there to just, keep the vibes and just hang. And yeah, it was just very funny. I did not expect that sound to be Thomas just eating in my
coming right back
like,
here,
kind of eating right behind me in my ear. Just like, I was like, oh gosh.
Yeah. Have you had, I would imagine that this happens from time to time, and how you handle it, I think will really matter, because it's about someone who trusts you and respects you and the artist. Have you ever shot something where, and I don't need you to tell me exactly what it was, but where you're like, yeah, I can't put that in. Like I can't, because you see a lot of things that are probably very personal, and I mean, they trust you into their green rooms, into the backstage and all of that. So how do you distinguish between what you think is appropriate to put in the edit and send over for approvals, and what you just say, I'm not even going to go there?
Yeah, I think that's one of the best delineations to have a feel for in this job is like the boundary, right? I think a lot of that, the way I like to enter, especially a new camp that I haven't been with, or someone I just, maybe not tour with a bunch, is I try my hardest to lead with as much respect as I can.
Totally.
And I'll allow them to tell me like, hey dude, you're good. Like you're, come on in, like you're okay. But just, to make sure, whether that's asking them ahead of time of like, hey, like I know you're doing this later. Like, do you want me there? Do you not want me there? Whatever. To just kind of have that open line of communication, just to show that you're aware, of, this is a personal moment, or this is, something going on. And I think I think once you just show that you're at least aware, a lot of times the artist will be a little more trusting of like, okay, they get it. Like they understand that what this moment is. So a lot of time I'd say more often than not, they'll let you still film it. As far as using it, that's, that depends, right? I'd say, like I said, I think intent is really important too, to make sure they feel, like you're on the right side of it. You know what I mean? It's not like you're in there trying to film something that you shouldn't, and they're not sure what's going to happen with it. You know what I mean? Like that should never cross their mind, hopefully. But like, just making sure you're entering the room knowing that you're kind of lucky to be in the room.
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
you're like, there's countless, everybody that isn't backstage and is out front would kill to be right where you are. And so make sure like you don't forget that, and make sure that, you show them that you're appreciative, and that you're also, wanting to do the moment and their whole night, whatever it is, justice, Yeah. So yeah, I'd say leading with respect that it all boils down to that.
Yeah. Because you are welcomed into some of the most intimate moments behind the scenes
Definitely.
that most people will never see.
Absolutely.
Right. And I think that's why people were so intrigued. And I don't know why my brain always goes back to this movie, but I remember seeing it in theaters, the Katy Perry movie.
Okay.
Where you got the whole scene behind what happened at the show. And I remember it was the breakdown of Russell Brand and her, and how she went on stage right as she got the text or the call that he was wanting a divorce or whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, people like you get to see some of those most raw, intimate moments of how they feel before they take the stage. And there's a lot of, I don't want to say walking a tightrope with it, but you got to be really respectful, and that they're real people, with real feelings that day. And sometimes people don't want to be a camera up in their face all the time.
Totally. And I do think too, again, depending on the artist, I've had a couple moments where either I have filmed something and I've, later either told the assistant or told whoever, is like, hey, I was rolling on this, just so you know, like I deleted it. All right. Like it's not, that doesn't exist anymore, what have you. And, again, they're appreciative of it. But then other times, you either don't film something, or I've told them that I have deleted it. And sometimes the artist will be like, no. Like I appreciate, the gesture, but end of the day, like, in 30 years, 40 years, like I may want that moment, to kind of remember, either how vulnerable of a time it was, or whatever the scenario, you
never know if they're going to want to document it in something.
Exactly. Like that could be the moment in a documentary 25, 30 years from now,
Absolutely.
And so a lot of the time it's better, as long as you have that trust and rapport with the artist, it's better to just film it and just make sure, whether the artist or the management or whoever is like, hey, I got this, it's in your guys' hands, but like, to just make sure you get it first, and then you can always delete it after.
Absolutely. It can always be deleted.
Yeah.
As long as he trust you, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. But again, it's artists. Some artists just don't even want, because it changes, it can change a vibe in the whole room to even have a camera in there, whether they're writing or they're, talking to a fan, or they're going to do some visit, whatever it is. Like it can just really change the whole vibe in a room. And so sometimes the vibe's more important than the filming and trying to secure the memory of it,
Well, speaking about vibes, like when you go into a show, what are you technically, I know every show's different, but what are you mainly hunting for when it comes to what you're getting out of the shot? Is it the vibe? Is it more emotion? Is it the energy? What is it, something that would you say is like your trait as you, with what you do? Like what do you hunt for when you're at the show?
I love energy, obviously. I love trying to get as many good coverage of a show. A lot of video, and there's different ways to do this, because there's different artists want different assets at the end of the night, right? Some just hey, I just want to get really good clips of this new song, and a fan doing this, whatever, right? But for me, if I show up and they're like, hey, do your thing, I would say getting really good coverage. Like I said, finding a time to go to the top to make sure we show the whole space, and making sure I can find spots to go on stage to show that perspective. I'm down front. I'm getting fans. I'm getting players. Whatever it is, right? Backstage moments to really try to give a good picture of not just the show, but just the whole night.
The whole thing.
Yeah. And so, and I always say too, you know, show doesn't change a ton night to night. You know, sometimes they'll swap a song out, whatever. But for the most part, like a set list is going to be pretty consistent. And especially in like an arena show, like,
It's
you know,
tight.
you have cues are dialed in, lighting's dialed in, like everything's really tight. And so, you know, the thing that changes the most are the fans. And so trying to find as many moments that you can have a fan that's either really connecting to a song or they're just rocking out and, you know, just like they're showing such a pure, you know, emotion that if I'm following an artist, to see someone else, you know, having such a great time, you know, at a show like that makes me want to go to a show too. And so I try to make a pretty good point to make sure I find the fans every night too. And they also, I mean, especially in this day and age, if they see a camera, that, I mean, they're dialed in for it.
Sure
They
are.
love it. They love it. And I love that they love it, because
Well, it makes your job a lot.
it makes my job a lot easier for sure. And so, yeah, and anytime, because again, you know, Tim or Miranda, like I'm going to see them tomorrow night, you know what I mean? Like I'm going to have a chance to shoot the show tomorrow. Lighting's going to be similar, right? But that fan, I only get
They're only there.
I only get 90 minutes, right? And
Gosh, unless you're a Taylor Swift fan at the Era show, some of
That's a
those
fair
people
point.
are like,
That's
I went
fair.
to 20 of them. And
That's
I go,
a good point.
What do you do for a living? Like, that's
Right.
insane.
Like I took some time off to follow the Air Store. Yeah. But yeah, just, you know, trying to, however many, the moments that you know you're not going to get back, like those are the ones I try to focus on the most each night, you know?
What is no matter what genre, it doesn't have to be country. Do you have a dream artist that you would love to go on tour with?
Oof. Yeah. I said for a long time, this may have changed recently, but for a long time it was Justin Timberlake.
Oh.
He was my first like really big show.
Well, and you said you
I
like
would say.
dance and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
and so with a background of dancing, and you know, I've taken classes in his songs, I've taught to his songs. His choreographer is one of my favorite choreographers ever. And so I said for a long time, Justin Timberlake. I don't know if that still stands. I still love Justin. I just, you know, taste may have changed here and there, but yeah, and also, I don't like saying this just because of his past in a bit, but I grew up on Chris Brown's music too.
Oh my! So that was like a big concert for me when I was like in high school, and
I don't love saying that because I understand, I get it, and I completely valid. But just for the nostalgia of it, I guess for me, like him or like a T-Pain kind of a thing.
Sure.
Like that's my era. That's where I grew up. That's where I learned dancing too. And so, I mean, that would be up there for me too.
And I think I went to. I don't know if the tour was called the Wall to Wall tour.
Okay.
But I think I went to that. But I remember it was. I really enjoyed that tour. Well, I went with a bunch of girlfriends, and my parents were silly enough to drop us all off alone, and we got to go inside.
Wow.
And I can't believe they allowed that.
Shout out to parents.
But I was buying a T-shirt, and I remember girls were saying like very inappropriate things about Chris Brown, like as in what they would like just be with Chris Brown. Let's just put it there.
Sure.
And what they didn't know is who was selling them the T-shirt was his mom.
Oh wow.
And she was all like, and someone said like, how do you handle that? And I was putting two and two together really quickly. And I was like, whoa, did they just say those explicit things in front of his mom? They didn't know it was his mom. And she was all like, yeah, it's just what, it comes
at
with
this
it.
point, yeah, like that's just, you know who he is at this point. That's tough. That's tough.
Do you find that certain artists are far more, I don't want to say picky, but like I know I would be picky if I was on the road with you, like and saying what I'd want shot list wise. People that are more like, hey, I need this shot of the night versus someone probably like Tim who's like, go for it, do whatever you got to do. Do you find one is more easier to work with than the others for you to just go do what you do, or versus like a lot of pressure to be like, I need that last confetti shot and I need a good one?
Yep. Yeah. I definitely think, anytime they're asking for a specific shot, it's going to put more pressure on you for sure. And that's the biggest thing too in touring in general. It's just anytime the stakes are raised, because again, we get one shot at basically everything each night.
For sure.
Like we get, if we miss it, it's over. It's not like we're on set and it's like, oh, you blinked there. Like, let's do that one more time. You know what I mean? Like, and so, you get one shot at it. So yeah, anytime they're like, hey, we need this, we need this, we need this, that's great. I like, because then there's no question of where I'm going to be. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you need this? Cool. I'm going to be right here. If you're front of stage, I'll be here. This will be the shot. This will be the angle. We'll get it. You know? And so, but then, you know, things happen. Like some drunk dude's walking through an aisle and just can't keep it together and gives you a shoulder mid clip. Like, tough.
Yeah.
Like that happens, you know? But then it also kind of puts, you still have kind of pressure when they say, I trust you, you know, do your thing.
That's true.
You know, but then there's a little bit of pressure of like, okay, like I better do the best version of myself then, you know, because it's like, if they say that, they probably have an idea of what you can already do. And it's like, all right, I better have a good night, because, you know, obviously, at least on social, like anything we post is going to be from a good night. And so it's like, I better be on my stuff tonight and make sure, you know, I'm in the spots I should be in and getting the coverage that I normally would get and all that. And yeah.
Now I'm speaking clearly just from a girl's perspective.
Sure.
So I don't know if it's different from guys versus girls, but do you ever have conversations with people about like angles, right? Like girls are very different about like what's flattering on me. Like, I don't want you to, this is a bad look for me. Like, please don't shoot me from that, because I'm going to hate everything that comes out of that.
Absolutely. Yes.
Like,
absolutely have that conversation. Either whether it's a side, whether it's a, you know, hey, I don't even want to see you in the pit because I don't want to, you know, and I get it. Like, I don't want to be, I don't want to be photographed from someone that's 6 feet underneath me looking straight up my nostrils. Like, I don't want that shot. Most artists don't want that shot.
No,
male or female. But yeah, you definitely have those conversations. But it's also, you know, especially if you're going into a new environment, I like to ask, like, hey, what are some stuff that they've, like, send me some stuff that they were stoked on.
Okay.
You know, send me some, like, whether it's from a different shooter, whether it's from different artists, you know, that they were like, man, I want something like this, right? Like, tell me what they get pumped about to give me a better idea of what to go for.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, you know, it's not always easy to communicate. Like, hey, this is how I like being shown, or what, you know, but it's a lot easier to be like, I love this shot.
Absolutely.
You know? And so, yeah, to kind of go in with that kind of idea, absolutely. But yeah, I think that's an important conversation to have, because if you go the whole set and you're, you know, married to one spot that you think is so cool, but they're like, I despise that angle of myself. And you're like, well, I just wasted my night. I wasted your night. I wasted, you know, you flew me out. You bust me out, whatever. Like, I wasted a lot of time and everything. And so, yeah, I think it's an important conversation to have
for sure
ahead of time.
What is other than the camera itself, what's a piece of gear that you can't go anywhere without?
Good question. I mean, this is so lame, but I got the newest MacBook.
Okay.
And like,
and that helps with editing and everything.
Oh my gosh. I edited on like I don't even know what year it was. I mean, it was 2018, 2016, like for a long time. And it did fine. You know, when you have something you're used to, you know the workarounds, you know how to get the most out of it. But like I said, before the tour last year, I got this new MacBook. And I was like, what have I been doing?
What have you been doing?
Like, I've been shooting myself in the foot for the last 2 years. And so, yeah, getting that, I mean, I can't imagine going back to, you know, something slower than that. Because, again, we had to turn around, you know, photos within an hour afterward. And so to be able to go through, just to dump the files, go through all of them, just that, like, I don't think I would have had a shot on my old MacBook.
Yeah.
Not a prayer. So that's kind of a lame answer.
No,
but like,
I mean, that makes sense.
That is so crucial. And I say it all the time. People, you know, they're always, oh, I need to upgrade my camera, upgrade my gear, all that. And it's like, that's great. Your files also get a lot bigger. And if you don't have the you know, inventory to support it when you're actually editing, like, it's almost going to make you more frustrated in a way. And especially, you know, in this industry, speed is everything, you know, because realistically, you have about 24 hours for any content you shoot from the show, previous or whatever, to really be worth anything. To an extent. I mean, there's obviously moments that are evergreen and things happen, but
you're right.
The vast majority, like, you have a day, you know, from the night before, because then you're on to a new show. You've gone from Milwaukee, you're in Chicago tonight.
Yeah.
Milwaukee was great. We love Milwaukee, but now, we've got 10,000 new people in Chicago.
Fans in cities get a little upset now with artists if they don't post like
Absolutely.
something from that show specifically.
Yeah.
Like I've seen that in the comments of like mainly probably like the Eras tour. I remember if she didn't post something
Harry
from
Styles too.
That
I remember that one.
Rough.
My sister's a huge Harry Styles fan, so I'm in tune with that as well.
Have you ever lost footage like from the whole night, like the whole thing?
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
How do you explain that to somebody?
That's just a shitty conversation. There's just no two ways around it. Yeah, I'd say that's
it's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare, and it's only happened really once for me. And it was actually a hard drive failure, which was the biggest part. And so that took me a while to personally get over, because that was just, you can recover from a lot of mistakes, but you just can't recover from that. And so that took personally me a long time to get over. And I'll say right now, if I don't care if you're doing anything with media, have a backup always. Like, dude. And so, you're young and you don't know, and you think, you're just not thinking about it. At least I wasn't. I should have been. But yes, that happens, and that is a horrible conversation. Unfortunately, a lot of artists understand, because it does happen. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't make them any more excited to have the conversation.
Like they're not stoked about it. But
no, they're not like, oh yeah, again, sweet. Like, no, it's just, that's just a really shitty conversation. And I'll also say too, make sure you're doing everything you can to see if you can recover any part of it before you bring it up, because luckily there's a lot of great software out there that can help you. But that's a tough one, because it's also, that's a lot of it, to an extent, can be out of your control. Yeah,
for sure.
Your car just fails. It's at its limit, whatever. And so there's precautions, but at the same time, like, we're moving city to city like constantly.
Fast.
It's one thing if you're showing up on set that day. It's like, we better have 6 backup SD cards going straight to hard drive. Like, obviously you better have that backed up, but like going city to city, I got a backpack with all my gear. Like, it happens, but it's tough.
I know we discussed the moment with Tim McGraw and Randy Travis, and you've talked about, like the Dan and Shay moment, but is there another moment that you'd say, or a shot that you specifically have taken that gives you chills today?
Definitely. I was thinking about it actually on the right here. It was 2022 with Tim. It's my first tour ever with Tim. First full tour. And we were in Jones Beach Amphitheater in New York. And that's a union ran venue. And so they're very strict about video rules. So I wasn't allowed to shoot video that night just because it was going to cost a lot of extra money. So I just shot stills that night. And so I was walking through, sound check, looking at the venue, because I'd never been there. It's a very iconic venue. It's on the water. It's beautiful. I was walking through. I was like, man, tonight would be such a cool night. If everybody like put the phone lights up and everything, like it would look gorgeous over the water, look amazing. And as I was having the conversation with somebody, Tim's lighting director, his name's Pat. He's been with him for 15, 20 years or whatever. And as I was saying that, he kind of leaned in. He's like, what song do you think would look the best? And I was like, well, I'm not really picky, but like, I think as far as what maybe would be more appropriate would be like, Don't Take the Girl. Don't Take the Girl, first number one at that time, I think it was 93. So almost 30 years ago. And I was like, Don't Take the Girl would look great. He's like, I agree. And so he was like, if I don't talk to you, because he usually, they have a conversation before the show starts to make sure they're on the same page about stuff. And he's like, I'll bring it up and we'll see if he goes for it. And he's like, if he goes for it, excuse me, you better not fucking miss. Yeah. I was like, I got you. Like, I'll be there. Don't worry. And so I didn't talk to him until after the set, really. And so right before the song came up, the stage was dark and really couldn't see anything. And Tim just walks up to Mike, and he never does this. He's done this twice, I think, in the 3 to 4 years I've been with him. he walks up and was like, hey, said something along the lines of like, this is our first number one, you know, can you kind of light this place up for us so we can see all y'all as we play it too, or something like that. And like, mind you, it was pitch black on stage. I mean, everybody lit it up immediately. Like you could see him clear as day. And so I kind of sneak out around before the spotlight hit, sneak out around him, kind of behind him and to his right, and snap a few. And it's still one of my favorite photos I've taken of him. Just the whole venue lit up.
How big of a deal did you feel?
Oh my gosh. I was also a nervous wreck. So I was like, all right, I better not miss. like we gotta, you know, I also wanted to get in and get out because I don't want to, you know, especially on that song and with how great that moment is, like I don't want to linger on stage.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I went out for the first maybe verse or something and then try to pop back out once there was like an instrumental break or whatever. But then at the end of that tour, I've never posted that photo or anything.
You've never posted it?
Never posted the photo. But I had made 2 prints. I printed one out for myself. It's hanging in my living room. And I printed out one for Tim as a kind of a thank you at the end of tour of like, hey, thanks for having me out. And, you know.
So no one's really seen this photo?
No one's really seen it, no. It was cool. So like when I handed it to him, he was stoked. He was like, oh my gosh. And he like ran like a kid that got a new Christmas present. He ran straight to the band room. I was like, guys, look at this photo from, you know, a couple of nights ago that Tyler got. Like, oh my gosh. And so I was like, that was a cool moment just to have that kind of interaction and personal moment. For
really
sure.
Cool.
And so,
moment.
yeah, getting to, like I said, it's in my living room and getting to kind of look at that, you know, every day is a, you know, kind of a cool reminder. And
I was literally about to say, I'm going to go run to your Instagram after this and go search that photo, but I won't be able to find it.
I'll see if I can send it over so you guys can see it. But yeah.
Yeah, I won't share it with anybody.
Cool.
It could be a secret.
Cool.
What would you say is a huge piece of advice you would give to someone who wants to do what you do?
I would say like someone who hasn't done it yet at all and is just really interested in the industry.
Yeah, if they're planning on coming to Nashville to do tour content, like they see it and they love videography, they love photography.
Yep. My advice for this has changed, I think, somewhat recently. A lot of people are, you know, they're kind of unsure of who to contact to find how to get these gigs. You know, it's like, do I DM the artist? Do I go to a label? Do I go to a manager? And none of those are bad by any means.
Great point though about who you contact.
Yeah, like those all can work. Like it's, again, my first gig was a DM from Devin on Instagram. Like, you know, so it was directly with him. But I think at least recently, a good way to go about it is meeting other people like me that are doing it. Because there's so many opportunities in town that I know tons of friends of mine. A friend of mine, she's built a business around this. Like they get offered like, hey, can you go out this weekend? It's like, no, I'm already, you know, in St. Louis, whatever. Like, but they need somebody that they trust that's good to recommend, right? And so there's so many people that need somebody good to recommend. And so I'd say going to find the other tour photographers and tour videographers that you really like or admire, that, you know, you just kind of want to make an impact on and tell them that, you know, you'd love to have a shot one day. I think you'll find a return faster from those folks than you will like management or anything like that. That's
a great actually form of advice because you're right. There's only so much of you and other people to go around, and typically you guys are always busy doing something, and that if you like somebody else's work and you're willing to kind of put your name out on the line for them, that's probably one of the best ways to do it.
Right, 100%. And it's a lot, like I'd say if the artist is already reaching out, or management, whoever's already reaching out to you saying like, hey, we need somebody for, you know, the 11th and 12th this month, like, are you free or do you know anyone? Like, if you can just send that name over, they already trust you. If they trust you, they trust you well enough to know that the person you're sending is probably also, you know, worthy of the gig. You know what I mean? And so I'm not saying it's every case, but like a lot of the cases, especially when it's like hey, we're leaving in 3 days, like we need somebody. Like a lot of the cases, they'll be down to kind of roll and give anybody a shot. So yeah, I'd say reaching out to the people whose job you kind of want to do, because there's tons of jobs. Like there's, I don't know if it's an accurate stat, but it feels like there's more artists touring today than like almost ever. Like everybody's got some kind of tour, right? And everyone on that tour needs some kind of content.
Yes.
And so
content is so big right now
that
everything. Like there's never enough of it.
We're doing a podcast right now. You know what I mean? Like, and so there's only so many photo and video people, like, you know, to go around, and, you know, to find ones that you trust and that, you know, are going to do a great job. Like, like that's valuable. And so, I'd say come to find more folks like us, and you can probably help out a lot faster than you might think. So, it makes us look good too. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody, what are your socials and everything so people can go check out your work?
Sure. My social, I think I'm pretty much everything's just Tyler J. Conrad.
Okay.
Yeah. Instagram, X, and then I guess about it. Yeah.
Awesome. Justin Timberlake, he's looking potentially for
Hey, I'm down. Well,
thank you so much, Tyler. This has been a lot of fun, and I've learned a lot. So thank you so much. I've had a blast.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I can't wait to see that photo.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you for being What's Mine Is Yours.
Thank you for having me.
Hey guys, it's Tiffany Boys. Thank you so much for watching another episode of What's Mine Is Yours. Make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to check out more, come visit our socials and follow us at WMIY.podcast.